It's a report that couldn't be more spectacular. A research team has identified 7 mysterious stars in the vastness of space that are suspected of being extraterrestrial megastructures. In detail, the celestial bodies attract attention with an inexplicable heat radiation, and it's possible that a distant civilization is capturing its starlight with gigantic Dyson spheres. If this breathtaking assumption coincides with reality, we would finally have found clear evidence of the existence of our extraterrestrial neighbors and, at the same time, realize that they are vastly superior to us technologically. Despite all this, many questions remain unanswered, and another study comes to the conclusion that we are dealing less with highly developed aliens but rather with cosmic hot dogs. Humanity is on the ascendant after all. Well, at least that applies to the so-called Kardashev scale, which indicates how far civilization is developed in terms of its energy consumption. Introduced in 1964 by the astronomer Nikolai Kardashev, the corresponding scale is divided into 3 levels of development, of which, however, we have not yet even reached the first. In fact, a Type 1 civilization is only considered as such when it has managed to harness all the power available on its planet. The value of our own species, on the other hand, is still estimated at 0.72. But at least we are moving in the right direction. After all, in the last century, it was just 0.58. Although we Earthlings still have a long way to go before we reach the Type 1 mark, there could already be civilizations out there that have long since reached and passed this milestone and are consequently achieving technological wonders that we cannot even dare to dream of at present. While a Type 2 civilization is able to use the total power of its host star, a Type 3 civilization even manages the feat of harnessing the total power of its entire galaxy. But how is that even possible? How should an alien race even manage to turn its cosmic environment into an oversized power plant? Well, for example, with a Dyson sphere. While the photovoltaic industry is booming more than ever these days, we should not forget that, as early as 1960, a certain Freeman Dyson was already working on transferring the concept of light energy conversion to a much larger extent. Published in the journal Science, the physicist explained that an advanced alien civilization would probably take this basic idea to a whole new level and equip large parts of their mother star with photovoltaic panels orbiting in space. Ultimately, however, Dyson's aim in devising the sphere that bears his name was not to work out a detailed blueprint of this megastructure, but rather to remind us that in the search for signs of extraterrestrial life, we should not only focus on capturing radio signals, but also on detecting the infrared radiation that would go hand in hand with such a structure. According to the law of conservation of energy, the tapped starlight would have to be released again after it has been used by a civilization. While the Dyson sphere heats up during operation due to the starlight, it consequently also emits heat radiation that we could detect from Earth. Well, at least that's the theory. But even today, more than 60 years after Dyson first shared his idea with the world, it has not progressed beyond the status of an exciting concept. This is simply because we have not yet found any convincing evidence of telltale infrared signatures. Or have we? Well, who knows? An international team of researchers has now come to the conclusion that the corresponding traces have actually been uncovered long ago. We just haven't been able to interpret them correctly yet. In order to clarify whether a revolutionary breakthrough is not hidden in the existing data sets, experts from Sweden, India, Great Britain, and the USA have devoted themselves to the task of thoroughly scanning the infrared data of the telescope's Gaia DR3, 2 Mass, and WISE again. At the end of this research project, named HEOS, it was found that most of the 5 million stars examined do not show any extraordinary characteristics. However, there are indeed 7 stars out there that exhibit strange behavior. While the corresponding results appeared in the journal Monthly Notices of the Royal Astronomical Society, The study authors based their work on the assumption that space is not only teeming with completed Dyson spheres but also with those that are still under construction and therefore only partially absorb starlight. In this regard, the paper states that such a structure would emit waste heat in the form of radiation in the mid-infrared range, which, in addition to its effective temperature, would also depend on the progress of the extraterrestrial construction project. However, it is obvious that we can only correctly identify their radiation if we manage to distinguish it from that which is of purely natural origin. Otherwise, the trail of the supposed Dyson sphere signature could quickly lead back to ordinary nebulae, dust disks, or the galaxy behind them. Of course, the international scientists were also aware of this cosmic risk of confusion, which is why they developed a special pipeline in advance that focused on identifying objects with an anomalous infrared excess for which there is no known natural source. The experts then had to sift the 5 million stars through this overarching filter and were amazed to discover that 7 of them had not passed through. The bottom line, however, is that the dazzlingly bright mysteries also defy all common explanatory patterns. Although no clear disturbing factors or signatures have been discovered in their realm that would indicate an obvious mid-infrared origin, the stars all appear to be clear mid-infrared radiators. Do these special circumstances now clearly prove that we have found 7 stars out there that are equipped with artificial Dyson spheres? Well, the experts were not quite so quick to jump to conclusions when interpreting their results. Because of a lack of confirmed findings, it's just as possible that the observed infrared radiation also comes from previously unknown natural sources. In the same breath, however, the experts also point out that all 7 stars are exclusively red dwarfs of the faintest class, celestial bodies that only very rarely have dust or debris disks that produce such infrared radiation. But even if the Dyson spheres ultimately turn out to be natural phenomena, the researchers would still have gained a new astronomical insight. Then, they would have to fundamentally question their previous assumptions about the formation of dust disks around red dwarfs. In fact, it now seems that the idea of technological megastructures has been ruled out for at least 3 of the 7 stars. A follow-up study by another research team concluded that the recorded infrared radiation is actually due to so-called hot dogs. In this context, of course, this does not refer to an alien hot dog stand, but to a special type of galaxy. The word dog stands for dust-obscured galaxy. These rare galactic associations are characterized by their special quasars, or in other words, active galactic nuclei. The central black holes that reside there emit gigantic amounts of radiation, which heat the surrounding dust and gas structures, thus releasing infrared light that is about 1,000 times stronger than that of the Milky Way. When the astronomers took another look at the 7 Dyson sphere candidates, they realized that 3 of them were very close to such hot dog galaxies. Since, as mentioned, the hot dust clouds there are real masters at emitting infrared radiation, the new approach states that the previously detected radiation is in fact not due to the actual stars at all but to the dusty influence of the surrounding hot dogs. But even if we assume that our infrared view of the 3 stars is really distorted by hot dog galaxies, what about the remaining 4? Well, possibly exactly the same. Hey, 2. Researchers argue that the remaining stars are also influenced by hot dogs due to similarities in the different wavelengths of light. However, astronomers have not yet been able to locate the guilty galaxies and thus clarify the backgrounds of the mysterious stars beyond doubt. So, what remains to be said in conclusion? Is the search for Dyson sphere signatures a meaningful approach at all? Well, that's precisely the question. Since we don't even know how likely the existence of such structures is, it is all the more difficult to find a serious approach to this topic. However, various methods have been developed in recent decades that would be suitable for detecting any signatures. While the James Webb Telescope is primarily dedicated to searching for potential biosignatures of simple organisms in planetary atmospheres, the actual discovery of a Dyson sphere would testify to the existence of life forms far more advanced than ourselves.